Good morning. Good morning. Welcome everyone to Wake Up and Win Live with your girl, Dr. Najuma. Um, I'm super excited to share with you today's win word. But before I do that, let me reintroduce myself. I'm your girl, Dr. Najuma Smith. I'm a pastor of Word of of the Word of Encouragement Church. I'm also a purpose coach and spiritual growth and purpose coach, I should say spiritual growth and purpose coach. And I do a lot of work in the community for around civic and community engagement. And I like to use this platform to share with you all a weekly win word that was a reminder that you can go through a major loss, recover, restore, rebuild, and win again. You could go through a major loss, recover, restore, rebuild, and win again. My personal journey includes me losing my son and going through a divorce, and having to rebuild and restore my life. And so I use this platform to share the things that I've learned and the things I'm learning so that you too can know that you can go through a major loss, recover, restore, rebuild, and get back out there and win again. And so today's win word is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Now, a lot of times when we go through a very difficult or traumatic experience, it can cause us to question ourselves, right? So going through divorce, and actually I've been divorced more than once. I've gone through more than one divorce. Um, it, I know for me and for a lot of people that I've talked to, interviewed, have had conversations with, and even counseled, that something like divorce, a grave transition like divorce, and the emotional experience may have one questions oneself, question picking the right relationship, choosing the right relationship. What could I have done better? What did I do wrong? And there are a number of reasons why people divorce. And whatever the reasons are, it still can play a part in how we see ourselves and evaluate and even judge ourselves. And I also want to say that part of what you have to give yourself credit for is that your spirit, your gut, some call it, your intuition, knows well what you need and what you don't need. And so while there is, of course, a necessity to do counseling, to, really understand the dynamics of what's going on, everybody understand their role in how things have transpired or what's transpiring. I also want to remind you that, and just remind this space that sometimes the reason we cannot settle in a thing is because our gut, our intuition, our spirit is saying, this is not okay. You deserve better. You owe yourself more, whatever the case might be, right? And even though traumatic experiences may have you question yourself, I also want to remind you that self knows best than anybody else, right? And to trust that, to trust that. And it doesn't mean that we cannot grow in areas of understanding perspectives and grow in understanding people and even grow in understanding ourselves. But I also want to encourage, and something that often is forgotten, is the reminder, or to remind people to trust yourself, right? Trust what you're feeling, trust what you are seeing. Sometimes trust yourself, because part of how we are wired as human beings, right? Good morning. Part of how are wired as human beings, our brains, did you know this? Our brains are wired to protect us. Our nervous system is created to protect us. Our nervous system fires off when there's danger, when there's a problem. And so even though we all have to work on growing and evolving and making sure that we are interpreting and understanding things well, we're also wired to know when something's not okay. We're also wired to know when we are in spaces and situations, good morning, that are not in our best interests. We are also very much wired to know when something is off. And so I want to invite you, as you are possibly going through a process of recovering, still rebuilding, and trying to get back out there and win again, or not, whatever the case might be, wherever you are. But the win word for today is to trust yourself. And because God created our minds, our nervous systems, to actually activate when something's not well, when something's not okay. We are wired to protect ourselves. And so I want to remind you to trust yourself. Yes, you may have made some mistakes. I've made mistakes. But in even in the mistake making, we've all made mistakes. That's just human nature. There's also a part of me that knew when things were not right. There was also a part of me that knew when I was not in my best space. There was also a part of me that knew that things were not okay and they cannot remain the same. And I had to trust that so I could make the decisions necessary to pivot my life, to change my life, to go in another direction. And so I want to encourage you to trust yourself. And part of what sometimes people will do on the outside is convince you or try to convince you that what you see, you don't see, what you hear, you're not hearing, what you feel, you're not feeling. And now we begin to not trust ourselves. Your brain, my brain, is wired to protect us. The fear factor is part of why we have fear. Fear, there's a healthy form of fear. Like fear keeps you and I from walking out into the middle of the street, right? Fear keeps us from walking off of buildings and bridges. Your nervous system tingles when there's an energy in the room or in space that's not right. And so there is space for you and I to trust ourselves. And if you've gone through a major loss or a major traumatic experience and you're trying to recover, restore, rebuild, and get back out there in life and win again, part of that's going to mean you have to trust yourself and have some confidence in your ability to see, hear, experience, feel, and make decisions based upon what's in your best interest. So this morning's win word is trust yourself. It doesn't mean that we don't get counsel from people of wisdom. It doesn't mean that we don't seek out to understand. It doesn't mean that we don't take time to get proper perspective. But also there is space for you to trust yourself. God bless you for your questions. They're a little off. London, but bless you anyway. Prayerfully, London, you'll trust yourself. All right, so trust yourself. Have an amazing Monday. We'll be back on Wednesday for our Winners Wednesday. Have an amazing day. We out, y'all. Bye.